Boom, hello and welcome to the Executive Protection Lifestyle Podcast with your host, ByronRodgers. This podcast is dedicated to the executive protection practitioner, the private security professional. In this podcast, we're going to talk about the mental, emotional, psychological, physiological fitness that goes into being an efficient and effective executive protection agent. Whether you're in law enforcement, whether you're a mom that's looking at how to protect her children, or a father that's focused on how to protect his family, I believe this podcast has something for all of you. We might even get into some tales from the crypts of true Hollywood stories from time to time. I'm doing this podcast because I feel the reality of this job is simple. If you really want to be good at executive protection, it's more than just a job. It really is a lifestyle. And those of you who've been in the game for any serious amount of time, you already know what I'm saying is true. So if that sounds interesting to you, enjoy the show. Out. Boom. What's up, guys? Hey, ByronRodgers here, Bravo Research Group. I have got a surprise for you guys today. I've got a gentleman I met online, and we've actually been kind of really liaising primarily online. He goes by the name of Alex, and he's making a product that I really believe is gonna be something that in a few years the executive protection industry is gonna come to know and love. It's something that I personally have I've tried out and that I've been falling in love with, to be honest with you. As you guys heard on the previous podcast, I talked about really enjoying it, and it's the Gray Man Suit Company, man. Alex is the man behind the company, and I'm absolutely honored to have him on our podcast, Executive Protection Lifestyle. So thanks for coming on, Alex. Well,
thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So really, with executive protection, I mean, with pretty much anything, there just seems to be this one question that just jumping right into it, that everyone's always dying to ask. I actually don't like the question, but I find it to be kind of funny. And it's the infamous question of what is, let's talk a little about the company, but what's your background, kind of where you come from, what inspired you to do this, man? Because I feel like, before you get started, I feel like everyone has thought of kind of doing what you're doing, but no one had the balls and the intelligence to execute on it. And I gotta say, I was really shocked, because I was really shocked to see how good it all came out once I finally got my gear, man. So yeah, what's the man behind the company all about?
Well, nobody's vain enough to do it either. Like I love tailoring. I love style. I studied in London, in the UK, and I got to know Savile Row pretty well. My background is mostly private sector. As a security consultant, I did some executive protection work and close protection work and stuff like that.
Awesome.
In Asia and in the UK, which is like a jumping off point for Europe, Middle East, Africa, and that stuff, and domestically in Canada here too, for some events that we have had here. So I remember when I was in Beijing for the Olympics in 2008, yeah. I had a principal who was fantastic, but there was a lot of young people around at the Olympics. He had an entourage. We were in bars and clubs all the time, and inevitably there were, bar fights, fists thrown, all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the night, I had just started buying like custom-made suits. I just started getting into that thing, and it's relatively accessible to get into that when you're in like Hong Kong, Shanghai, what have you.
Yeah.
And I went through like a suit every couple days.
Right.
that first night after like our first little scrap. Mm-hmm. We were driving back, and I was saying to my partner, who was kind of like my training officer, and I was like, man, like I'm feeling really loose. I'm feeling really limber. Like I can get into another one of those things. And he looked at me and he was like, oh yeah, you're feeling loose, eh? I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's because your suits like rip down the back and rip down the shoulders. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, okay. And I remember asking, like, where do you get your suits, man? Like, who makes suits for us? And he's like, oh no one does. Like, doesn't exist. And I thought that was crazy, because like, I mean, ever since like the FBI and J. Edgar Hoover and the Untouchables and shit, we've been fighting in tailored suits. Yeah.
Right. And I don't know who decided a suit was the best thing for security and private security, man, I've always been like, I mean, obviously, you know, the powers of the guys that you just mentioned came up with it, but I've always been like, do we have to do this in suits? Ugh. But man, I've had the same thought and kind of the same type of experience. Like with me, I had a client that was doing heavy traveling, and we had to go. Unfortunately, we had to go hands on. It was like it was a venue that, you know, was actually quite a rowdy venue. So there's just always, we generally had to go on hands on, and I had to do it more with that detail than any other detail that I've been on, because of the demographics around it. And I got to a point where I just wouldn't even buy nice suits, man. Like I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I got some horrible Pronto Uno suits. And because most of the venue was at night, I just was like, yo, once the lights go out, I'm gonna look good. And I just couldn't bear to see my nice gear get trashed. And then obviously, you know, that wasn't a sustainable model, because my vanity as well was like, dude, this is beneath you. Just spend the money. It's your brand, whatever. And I started getting nicer suits, and the point really got driven home when we started going to Europe a lot, and I started seeing how those guys are all dressed. Everything's nice. I look like a refrigerator, like a gorilla wearing a paper bag, man. It was so embarrassing. And literally, we're in Paris, and I'm like, I'm never gonna look like this again.
I was in Palermo in Sicily, southern Italy, quite recently.
Yeah.
And the cops there look stupendous
Right?
constantly. There's a lot of I think because of the history with organized crime, what have you. There's a lot of close protection, mostly by police for, you know, like local government, like magistrates or what have you. And constantly there's guys in these like beautiful window pane blazers and like frescoes and stuff. And like in North America, you would never ever even consider them being cops because they look just so chic.
Yeah.
But yeah, they look fantastic. I was with you, man. I first started buying. I was in Hong Kong and I bought some like really nice full canvas suits,
Mm-hmm.
with Italian fabric, and you know it's quite inexpensive to make compared to the UK or North America. A full canvas bespoke suit there, but it was still quite expensive. And by the end of that deployment, if you can call it that, I had switched and I was buying from the same tailor, but like glued canvas, like local, like Chinese fabric, and that was like 1/10 the price. It was like, it
Right.
ended up being,
Yeah.
you know, like $200 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just because I just kept ruining them. And I was like, what's the point in buying this, like, you know, $900,000 suit when it's going to get ruined?
The
That was
shelf.
when China was cheap too. Now it's not even that cheap anymore.
Yeah. Right. No, when the shelf life is so, I had a suit that was just, if you opened it up, it was just stitched up. Like I called it my Franken suit because it fit me great actually, but it had so many tears, pockets ripped out from people trying to reach at me, and like, I mean, it just was zipped up inside, man. It was aggressive. It was aggressive. So that's what's up. No, there's definitely there's a science and an art to it, man. Like I'm really glad that you guys have been able to kind of find that balance, because when I got my suit from you, I was, you know, I think we all have like a series of stretch tests we do. You know, you try to like see if you can do the splits, how much of the splits you can do. You know, you reach around. I can I can never actually close my arms all the way in like a nice suit. Usually, I can come to a certain degree and then I have to stop. I had like full range of motion. The crotch is always that friction point. You know, you like know it's a matter of time. You're like, when I get in or out of a vehicle, I'm gonna bust my crotch. It's gonna happen because I have thighs, man. I'm one of those dudes. You know, I got like tree trunk legs. So I had the stretch in the crotch, the reinforced everything. I was impressed, man.
Yeah, based on your pattern, you've got meat in all the wrong places in terms of those points, man. It's like every stress point, you've got a lot of circumference there. So
Right?
it was, yeah. But I mean, I feel you. It was difficult to design because I mean, there's a few technical suits out there. I'm not
Uh-huh.
going to do free advertising for them, but most of them make a pretty decent product. But
Uh-huh.
they're made of, you know, like space age polyesters and stuff. They're not true suits. They're not canvassed. They're not, you know, sartorially inclined. They're made to be kind of like technical garments, kind of shaped like a suit. And we wanted to make
Huh.
a proper suit in the spirit of true tailoring.
Yeah.
As opposed to just something that someone, kind of throws on and kind of tries to pass off as a suit.
Well, and there's so much to be said for it, because when you get to a detail, man, like you're reading everyone based on what they're wearing. You're looking at, okay, the quality of the agent is judged on the quality of the suit to a certain degree. When you guys get there and you're in that room and you're meeting new agents, and it's just like, well, let's see how this guy does it. Let's see how that guy does it. And I don't know, your look is your brand. Like, it really is. And so, for me, finding that happy medium between, what ended up happening is my sister started working for like Hugo Boss. So I started being able to get my hands on those.
Well, that's lucky.
Yeah, right. It's fortuitous, if you will. So then I got to run the gamut with those bad boys. And honestly, that's kind of when I got yours, I was kind of like, man, this fits just like my other suits. And I had just made a run and got a whole bunch of other suits. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to, I don't know if I even have really I got some suits I'm excited about, but the one you guys sent is running right with them, except it's got all the tactical advantages, so that's sweet. So yeah, man, I wanted to look at kind of your website and just take a look at your mission statement and what you guys have here, and maybe read a little bit off here, even though, forgive me, I'm a grunt. I read like a grunt. Let's see here. Your mission statement says, we thread together the worlds of classic artisanal tailoring and tactical innovation to create apparel that is both stylish and functional. That stylish and functional piece is the friction point we've all been trying to get over. We make your suit to sartorial standards that few adhere to, and adapt their capabilities to the needs of professionals in the military, intelligence, and law enforcement, as well as those in the private sector. So these suits are legitimately made for guys like us doing the things that we're doing. I saw the pocket in the front for a challenge coin or a coin for your draw, having the clips, man, that stuff was pretty sweet. Down here where it says the look, just like those professionals, our look is adaptable. Quality and fit are classic and timeless. If a garment is built well and fits with intention, regardless of its color or accents, your presence will quality. Your presence,
project confidence.
Project confidence and competence and grace. So presence is everything. The look is everything. What would you say about that, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to. I remember the first time I sat down and tried to bang this mission statement out. It ended up being like 2 pages long. So there's a lot to it. Like I was saying earlier, artisanal tailoring is where we come from. It's what we really try to adhere to. And when I would do kind of the elevator pitch to people and tell them what this is about, I would say, no, like, first things first, this is a well-tailored suit.
Awesome.
It's not just a piece of equipment. It's not just something, like a, tactical apparel. It's a well-tailored suit, and it's made to those old traditions. And for the look, I mean, we're getting into kind of really niche fashion stuff that took me quite a few years of living next to Savile Row to understand. But like, you have Italian, American, and British tailoring philosophies, and they're all slightly different. And these days,
different how, like,
so the British tend to like strong roped shoulders. When I say roped, it's like that kind of lip that's in the seam of the shoulder. It's like padded.
Yeah.
Italians don't like vents because it cuts a slimmer profile around the waist, so it makes your waist smaller, but you got big shoulders, so it creates that Marilyn Monroe, that inverted triangle that makes a man look. It makes his shoulders
out or tapered, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
I like
Yeah.
to work. That's where I like to work.
The Americans have softer shoulders generally in their
Okay.
suits. Yeah. So like everyone has, and then there's a lot of differences between, you know, your shoulders, your waists, your button stance, meaning like how high the button point sits, like where the buttonholes are,
Hmm.
and how much of the chest shows and all that stuff. And so we found is that the most popular styles these days for, you know, relatively young people, you know, in their 30s and between the, you know, the 20s to 50s, um, is a mix. It's like a melange. It's like a very international look that's come out that borrows little bits and pieces from the American, the Italian, and the British style. So we try to meld those together to create a really adaptable look where you could go anywhere in the world and you wouldn't look out of place. You could be in the States and you wouldn't look too European. You can be Europe and you wouldn't look too American. And so you always look, you know, competent, graceful, and like you have like you're meant to be there basically.
That's awesome. Cause that's what happened to me, man. Like I went downstairs in my hotel and I looked at the other guys in suits that were from France and Italy when I was traveling all over Europe. And I was like, and then I looked in the mirror and I was like, this is not, I can't go out like this. And that's when my whole world opened up. And I was like, I got to find a way to look better than this on the job, you know? And
Yeah,
there, go ahead.
European and American tailoring looks for quite a while were very different.
Yeah.
From like the I would say like from the late 90s on.
Uh-huh.
Um, for a while, Americans always had what's called the sack suit, which
Okay.
is it's actually not it's not meant to describe how the suit fits.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I think it was actually shoot, I think it was like named after a guy or something like that. But um, it was when that's like the Ivy look, like Harvard, Yale,
Uh-huh.
Ivy League look, and it, you know, it wasn't actually that far off of the Italian Neapolitan look, which is like soft shoulders also. But
Okay.
then like once suits started becoming mass manufactured in like the 80s, when they started taking glue, fusing and gluing suits together,
Huh.
and it became much cheaper to make a suit and then more accessible. Because, you know, back in the day, people had like one suit for like their whole life. It
Yeah.
was expensive. It
It's
cost
like,
a
yeah,
mint.
yeah,
Yeah,
one good suit.
yeah. And then eventually, you know, you could buy like a suit at J.C. Penney, and it was really
Mhm.
cheap.
Yeah.
And once they started doing that, then the American look started really diverging because it fit less and less properly for your body because it was off the rack. It was made for the lowest common denominator, the average body type, and that was very rarely the person wearing it.
Huh. Okay. Okay. Good to go. Yeah, I think okay, yeah, no, it's good to get this actual understanding of what it is I'm talking about, man. I like as I hear you describe it, I'm thinking I like the soft shoulders. I like suits that allow my natural shoulders kind of to show a little bit more. So maybe that's more what I was talking about. I don't like the shoulder pads. Those are those are
Yeah,
not.
well, you've got sloping shoulders too. They're like really athletic shoulders, so they're hard to pad because to pad them, you need like a lot of padding to achieve like a slope that doesn't look ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what's up. No, man. Okay. Um, so I guess getting back to what you have here, the edge you guys are talking about. Elegance is what we weaponize. I like that, man. A look that is distinguished but not uh distinctive. So that kind of goes with the whole gray man thing. Distinguished but not distinctive. You look like a professional, but you don't stand out too much. I dig that.
Yeah. That's the idea is like, you know, we're called Grayman and Company,
Yeah.
and we actually don't 100% believe that 100% Grayman is the way to go because, you know, a lot of guys think that, okay, I'm not going to wear any brands. I'm going to dress in like muted grays, you
Right.
know, I'm gonna wear like uh, covert tactical recon pants or what have you.
Kmart kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you look like you're trying too hard not to be noticed. Like nobody dresses like that in real life, right?
Yeah.
Like so yeah, it's you want to be distinguished, and a distinguished guy isn't necessarily distinctive. When you walk down the, you know, Wall Street and you see all these guys in suits,
Hmm.
like none of them really stand out to you, but they all look distinguished generally speaking when they're in those
Yeah.
suits.
And the closer you get, the more their details kind of stand out. Like they look like just a man in a suit until you start having a conversation, and then you both start to let the details of what each other's dress is really doing kind of stand out. You know, that's when you start to realize kind of who you're dealing with and things like that. The That's interesting. That's an interesting approach. For me, it's tough, man, because I'm like a good 240-pound black guy. I'm not too big and tall, so I kind of have that to my advantage. But like, I can never really do the gray man thing, like because my just archetype, my avatar, just draws attention.
Yeah, you're a deterrent more
Yeah,
than anything.
exactly. Yeah. And rightly so. I mean, you should know if there's a guy of my like stature around, you should know where he is and what he's doing, for everyone should, I would if I take note, if a guy in my kind of ballpark walks in the room. So, so my whole thing with being gray is I have to come up with like a cover. So if I'm doing some kind of surveillance or if I'm ghosting, what really happens the most is I'll ghost a client where they'll be like, all right, cool. Just, roll with me. They don't say it, but you have to kind of detect it. Like, just kind of stay out of my way, but be with me today, And that's when I just get to like pull some distance, maybe dress down, maybe dress up, depending on where we're going. And the whole game is just look like a civilian, look as much like a civilian as possible. And this isn't me, but I always have to put this disclaimer out. I love 511. They're awesome. They've got a new civilian line that's real cool. But that's when guys, you don't want to be the 1022'd out guy. You don't want to be the guy that's like tactical, from head to toe. You don't want to have your watch turned inside, flipped over on your wrists and things like that. You want to be as much like the general population as possible. Me, I'll even pull my cell phone out and pretend like I'm doing things on my phone and stay, kind of.
Yeah, you pretend to be in condition white.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of my best cover, man. Come in, stay small, act like I'm just a dude. Maybe even on some days wear like athletic gear, and just get there before and leave a little bit after, the clients roll through and tumble that way and things like that. So
yeah, I mean that's the next thing that that's in that copywriting for the edge, which is that better than just a low profile is a soft profile. That's what you're talking about essentially. I mean, if you have to be seen because you're a big guy,
right,
and what have you, then you do what you can do to basically say, okay, well, I'm being seen, I'm going to soften my profile. Nobody ever looked at a dude in like a silk scarf and said that guy's a threat. You looked at a dude with like a a floral handkerchief pocket square stuffed in and like a boutonniere and like a corsage and said like, man, that guy's dangerous looking to me. So it's about those little details that help convince people of the legend or the cover that you've built for yourself, right? Like if you're in Fashion Week, maybe you're just like a fashion designer who works out a ton. Who knows?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Nowadays it's not too weird, man. So no, that's cool, man. I totally dig that, and it's totally mission essential for a lot of guys listening. Let's see, we have here the mission to outfit you with the best looking and most functional garments and gear, faithful to traditions of elegance and style, adapted to your rigorous needs. So that's pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, we're not stopping at suits. That's a scoop. Yeah, we got a lot of product ideas in the pipeline that we're working on. One of them's actually coming around pretty quick. I think we'll have it ready by the end of the year.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got me wondering. Any hints about what kind of things we might be looking forward to, or are you gonna keep?
Okay, well, I mean, pretty obviously shirts are coming out. That's not even what I was thinking about teasing. We're coming out with shirts hopefully sooner than later. We have the capability to make them now.
Yeah.
And they're just like what we found is that there's actually a lot of we call them like commuter shirts. They're like shirts adapted for tech guys in San Francisco who ride bikes to work and what have you. So they have like some dry fit in the armpits and whatever. And we're not going to innovate on the shirt that much. We have a few features that I'll reveal later.
Yeah.
But it's not as innovative as a suit. But what it is a proper dress shirt. because
Okay.
most of these technical shirts are these like kind of commuter shirts.
Yeah.
They're kind of like sports shirts, you know, they're like button down collars, or they're just like that smart casual kind of look. And
Yeah.
ours are proper dress shirts, so you can wear them, you know, with a suit to a Fortune 500 conference, or you know, FTSE 100 conference or anything like that,
Yeah.
and you won't look out of place. So
Heck yeah.
that's the real unique selling point to them. The
Oh,
what I'm really excited about is leather good. I'll
really?
yeah, I'll tease that.
Yeah.
But anyone who's met me at SHOT Show will know exactly what I'm talking about, because I was cruising that place pretty hard, doing some
Yeah.
vendor selection for materials and stuff like that. Yeah.
Heck yeah, man. Man, I hope you guys are gonna do some luggage and some things like that. I mean, I don't know, but
We have 30 items in our R&D pipeline right now, and just not enough time or money to make them all. So
yeah,
we're doing one at a time. Yeah.
the struggle of the creative, man. I totally dig it. I'm the same way, man. My struggle is not taking on too much. It's like trying not to like conquer the entire world at the same time is like my struggle. So I totally
Yeah.
dig
Eating the elephant, right?
it. Yep, exactly, man. But luggage, man, I'd love to see you guys come out with something like some of that stuff, because it's just stuff we use. It's stuff we all use. It's stuff that we're always, you know, I mean, we're always, I've been a Toomey guy for a long time. I'm running some of the Verdict stuff now. But it's nice to have nice luggage, you know. You know, it's nice to have like, you know, I mean, that's like functional work luggage, you know what I'm saying? My Toomey stuff looks pretty sweet, pretty slick, but I don't have any good leather stuff that I'm excited about right now. Um, so yeah, man. And then I'm looking down here on your website as well, and there's a couple lines in here down further. It's like, we trace our lineage as tailors right back to the golden age of craftsmanship as practice in the tailoring shops pre-World War II Shanghai, right? Expats from America, Europe, and London.
The Savile Row. Yeah.
Savile Row trained young local apprentices hungry to learn by tailoring suits for spies, smugglers, officers, and diplomats in a city threatened, and a city teetering on the brink of war. So, yo, spies, smugglers, and officers, diplomats. So this, I mean, that's. Can you want to speak on that a little bit? That to me,
Yeah,
that was
man.
really,
I love the story of Shanghai.
yeah.
It's if you there's a film, I mean, with John Cusack called Shanghai. I think everyone should watch it. I mean, it's okay as a film, but it's set in 1930s Shanghai, and that was just, I think, the most romantic era, or place to be back then, just before the Japanese invasion. That whole city was like a colonial mess, right? It was Chinese, but it had been segmented. There was like a Japanese quarter, a German quarter, an American one, a French one. You would go and you would eat French food in the French quarter, gamble. Then you'd go to the German quarter and hobnob and drink, you know, schnapps and whatever with, you know, like German military officers, or even like Nazi party officials or whatever. If you were a journalist, you would try to, you know, get information out of them. If you were in the Japanese sector past a certain hour, you just like be shot on sight by like their soldiers and stuff. It was pretty nuts. And in that era, a bunch of tailors came. Asia, the Orient, I think they called it at that time, was like the land of opportunity. It's where like tea came from, and silks and pearls and all these really exotic things. So tailors from like Italy and the UK and Germany and the US and what have you all went there and opened up these shops in like all these different European quarters in Shanghai. And they started making really nice suits because the customers were all like these diplomats and spies and military officers and stuff, right? Because they
Yeah.
were all stationed in Shanghai. Shanghai was like the most multicultural city in like the world for at that time.
Huh.
Um, and the tailors that we ended up finding in Shanghai, we did a photo shoot with some of them not long ago because we're really proud of them. And
Mhm.
Made in China has quite a stigma attached to it for
Yeah.
pretty good reason generally.
Yeah.
People, you know, big factories with questionable practices in terms of human rights and quality of life and living and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Our suits are made in a small atelier in the French concession of Shanghai, and the atelier is quite beautiful. The tailors are all classically trained, so they all come from more, whether by blood or by training, these original European tailors who went to China in like the 1920s and 30s. And a lot of people can argue, I mean, I would argue,
Yeah.
they're tailored much more classically and traditionally than most suits are that are made even in Europe now, because I mean, in order to make a lot of European suits cost effective, they're made in factories. They're made in factories of good craftsmanship, I will readily admit. An Italian suit coming from an Italian factory looks fantastic. It's got great craftsmanship, but it's very difficult now, and it's still quite expensive if you go to Italy, even with the economy in the state it's in, to find a bespoke tailor who can do it for the price points that you'd want. And what I mean by that is a tailoring shop where only 3 people touch your suit. You have the cutter that cuts the fabric, and then 2 tailors who stitch everything together. That's hard to find now, and our tailors do that. You won't find more than I can't think of a situation we've had more than 4 guys working on one suit. So it's very small batch and artisanal and all those fancy hipster words. It's very traditional.
Yeah. No, I dig it, man. And it really helps a lot of us. Like, you guys are doing all the heavy lifting. It like helps a lot of us catch up with that. You know what I mean? Like, to the guy who's, been working in EP, he's been working private security for a decade or half a decade. And it's like, man, I got to up my game. Cause like I said, there's a real legitimate vanity to the industry, and hey, you want to make at least 6 figures in this industry, you got to look like it. You know what I mean? You got to look like, would someone pay you to protect, when I have guys come to me all the time that are trying to get in the industry, and they're like, hey man, what do I need to do? And half the time I'm just like, well, you need to look the part, that's not everything to the game, but looking the part is a huge component to the game, so.
Yeah. I mean, I have no SOF experience, and I speak the language, I speak Mandarin. And when I was in Hong Kong and what have you, I was working a lot with former SOF guys and guys who, 20 years Scotland Yard and stuff like that. The only advantage I had was the language. I looked the part.
Yep.
So they wanted me as a body man or what have you. I mean, it's a lot of EP's concierge service, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The soft skills that's the game. That's how you get paid and keep getting paid, man. You know what I'm saying? And kind of another anchor point to, you and your client is, on the soft skills tip, when your client looks at you, they know that you represent their brand. They know that their friends are going to look at you and they're going to be like, yo, this guy represents my brand, the types of people I'm paying to be near me, the quality of the protection that I can get. And so looking good, like, you want to look good so that when people look at you and your client, or when your client looks at you, they're like, yo, I'm glad I have this guy around. He's cool. He's good looking. He makes me look good. There's quality in the way he's carrying himself. These are kind of the small things that a lot of people don't talk about, because you know what, it's somewhat not that PC, but it's real, man. Because we're humans in these.
Yeah, I mean, that's where my quick draw button comes from, actually. That one feature, the button up that pops when you draw.
Love it.
I had a principal that was a British lord, and he was very insistent that your suit was always done up.
So you're like,
top or middle button, if it was a 2 or 3 button suit, had to be done up, because that is the way to wear a jacket. That is otherwise it's improper, right? Like, he was gonna like vomit when he walked in. He saw us all with those jackets open, and then we're all like, well, how do you draw your friggin' weapon? Your draw becomes like a 3-second draw. You have to fumble with the button. You have to. All that stuff, right? So
dying, man.
I was just like, all right, well, now it's gonna take me 3 seconds to get my gun, so whatever. But so that's what I thought of that. I was like, well, you could make that work. You could use a snap button or what have you, and that's how we came up with that idea.
No, I love it, man. I love it. I was just like, honestly, it was one of my favorite features. It was the one thing I kept on playing with once I finally got my suit, my wife was watching me sit there, snap it, draw, snap, draw, unsnap, unsnap, draw, unsnap, draw. She's, it was
It's
Christmas.
a brand thing, like you're saying. Some clients are very particular,
Yeah.
very specific. So yeah, we just put it there for that reason.
Nah, man, I totally dig that, man. Let's see, you got down here a little further, and I was gonna ask, you already touched on it, but yeah, the fact that only pairs of 3 to 4 pairs of hands touch the suits, man, that's quality. That's huge stuff. And then the last paragraph down here says, but what sets us apart is even more than it is sartorial, which this is a new word for me. You gotta forgive me. I've never said sartorial before, bro. Even more than it is sartorial quality. Our optional features available a la carte are subtle, functional, and versatile, distinguished to adapt to a range of uses. The pockets, gusts, and armored fabrics can be both critical tactical. It can be both a critical tactile advantage and everyday convenience. So I think that's really kind of what I got in a nutshell, man. From, when I got that thing, I was very impressed with it. Kind of that fusion between being functional and also being a good suit.
Thanks. It's appreciated. I mean, it's like you were saying, it's a hard balance because we've got requests to do very specific things, which we've done one-offs and stuff for very particular customers who need it. But we didn't put them on the site. We haven't advertised them because they're very specific features, and like the odds are the vast majority of people wouldn't need it, or it would be useless, and it would just be more confusing than anything. So we try to keep our features to those ones that could be, useful every day. And when they're useful tactically, they're very adaptable. Like a pocket can have a challenge coin in it, and that can assist your draw. That's a pretty basic innovation. Even the action back is a pretty basic innovation. But you can tie your shoelace, you can make a U-turn, you can play a bass drum, you can play bass drum. I guess you play a bass guitar too. Do a lot of different things with it besides the very specific use, which is to draw your gun and go into an isosceles stance and pull that trigger. So that's the idea, is that it's kind of more than just going hands-on or pulling triggers.
What do you think about what do you think about kind of the color scheme, man? It's kind of an off-the-wall question, but I always hear guys talk about black is more like for the help, kind of more either you're going to a really nice function or it's kind of a working color. The different colors, like what colors do you like? Do you guys have a black suit? One of my buddies is ready to buy one of your suits right now. He wanted me to ask you. Do you just
We currently do not have a black suit. So you're right. I think when you say that, generally speaking, black suits are more for the help, unless you're very particular kinds of functions.
Right.
In certain places, like very trendy places like LA, parts of London, that's not quite the case. Like Miami also, like these kinds of cities have really embraced black as like a fashionable color. But traditionally speaking, it's just, blues and grays. I'll put it this way, if you were in Mayfair in London, where all the old money is, wearing a black suit, you'd definitely be concierge or doorman or security, have you. But if you're in Shoreditch, which is a very hipster, young area, with a lot of bars and skinny jeans, black jacket, that's just fashionable.
Right.
And so we're in a weird place with that kind of history right now. So I mean, the answer is you can wear a black suit. You can wear it. And if you're a traditional, I wouldn't suggest it. The reason we don't have it is because our fabric by Loro Piana is very expensive. Loro Piana is the most luxurious textile brand in the world. It's like it's they make like sweaters that are like $2,000, $3,000. Um,
Oh,
they're
wow.
insane. Yeah. So we could only invest in so many different fabric shades. And because of that traditional role that black plays, we just didn't buy their black fabric. They only have one black fabric. They have a huge catalog of these stretch
Oh,
fabrics, and they
straight.
only have one black one. Yeah. So we just didn't invest in that one yet. We've gotten a few requests for it.
Uh-huh.
We're still, I mean, I personally am still a little 50-50 on it. Not sure whether to embrace it yet or not, but we've gotten a lot of requests for it. So I feel like, this is a democracy. The crowd has kind of spoken on that one. Whatever I feel about it is not relevant. People want it. People want it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess the feeling is like, well, if I'm gonna wear a suit, I'm gonna get so much use out of it. Personally, bro, me personally, I just bought my first black suit. Like, I had my Franken suit was a black suit. And it was like my one suit I had like right after as I was like actually I think I got it like towards the end of like I think I got it right when I got out of the Marine Corps, and it was like my one suit that I bought, and I just now, like 10 years later, bought another black suit because I avoid wearing black like the plague, So I've been able to I've come to a couple, call outs, and they've been like black suit, and I got like dark gray on, and they're like, all right, guy, we like you, so you can.
But that's what I mean is like I think for black, if you really want black, you can go with a very dark charcoal or a very dark navy or jet blue that or midnight blue, I should say. Nobody will notice the difference, and nobody really say anything. But the difference is
Yeah.
like very subconscious.
Yeah, exactly. It's very subconscious, and it differentiates you slightly, and you just don't have a black suit on. You kind of look a little bit. I think it's a little bit of an edge. I think it's a little bit of an edge. I like it.
My first suit was a black suit too. I think most guys' first suits are black suits.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the one you buy. You're like, I want to be in a black suit. That's the move. And then you start to realize, like, okay, you get the whole black is the help thing, and you're not. I don't know. Mine was a black suit too, man. I love black too. That's like literally the only colors I really wear are black and dark blue. Like, yeah,
That's a powerful combination. You mix them together.
yeah, absolutely. Um, you guys have a lot of different features here on the suits. Well, what other color do you guys have, I guess, that are close to you? Have like a dark gray? What would be the closest? Because I was looking at the fabric patterns online, and I wasn't really able to tell which was like the next darkest to like a black for my bud. What would you say is like the next kind of darkest gray that you guys
Yeah, that's something that we have to work on.
Okay.
And that's something that I'm going to start soliciting from customers. Actually, is photos of them wearing it, as well as just getting better studio shots of like a mannequin or something wearing the fabrics. Because right now, I think the photos on the website, it's the zoom ins, right, of the
Yeah, they're intense. Like,
fabrics.
yeah.
Yeah, but you can't quite get a feeling of how they look in different kinds of light and stuff. I get that. I would say the darkest is the navy nailhead because it's navy. And that's like we've used that fabric to make tuxedos before, so the navy nailhead's definitely the darkest. um I guess the most neutral would be the medium gray shark skin. That's like what we get from organizational
Yeah.
clients. We get the request for the medium gray the most because I guess some people think it's like the most gray, it's the most like neutral. But if you want something that's dark, something
Mhm.
that can look very formal, the
Yeah.
navy.
Yeah. Good to go. Okay. Yeah, and I think that's the color I got. I don't remember what the color of mine was, but it's a dark, deep, deep blue. Which I'm
Yeah,
told.
you got the deep blue shark skin, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
sharks. Sounds cool. That's what's up. And then yeah. On the black suit thing though, I don't want to write black suits off. My philosophy, you can tell me if I'm crazy, but my philosophy is if I'm gonna be in a black suit, it's gotta look so good that it's absolutely unmistakable that I'm not the help. You know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna wear a black suit, it's gotta be done so well. Just it's gotta have all the details and a high-end fabric, and it's gotta be tailored so well that it's very obvious that I'm not just the doorman, or I'm not just the valet or the, that's kind of that's my rationale. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because you see celebrities, even you see people who's who folks in black suits from time to time at special events. And
Yeah, I mean that's the funny thing about black suits is that you kind of go from being the help to really loud, real
real
fast.
fast. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. 0 to like 150 miles an hour if you do it right.
yeah. There's a lot. The Italians love black suits in terms
Yeah.
of like adding textures to them. They use
Yes.
like fresco weaves and stuff. You'll find all sorts of, obviously pinstripes. They'll wear black with pinstripes. Like black can be a very loud and very boisterous color and a lot of fun actually. If you detail it right, or if you choose a fabric that has a lot of interesting textures to it.
Yeah, a lot of personality to it.
Yeah, but then then it's like you're saying, there's a lot of personality to it. It becomes pretty loud.
Exactly. Yeah, man. No, I totally dig it. That's what's up. I probably most dangerous in my black suit when I do it right. I finally got one that I really like now. So
It's kind
one
of like
time,
wearing pink. Like like 10 years ago, all the dudes wore pink because it was like empowering for a man to wear pink.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
black is the same thing now. It's like, oh man, that guy's rocking black full out, and like that's like a bold move.
It's like this taboo kind of.
Yeah,
Oh, geez, man. I'll just wear my black suit next time just just to make a statement. That's what's up. Um, Looking here too at some of your just features I want to give the guys. I want to read some of these off. Action back. This action back is what made it so I can actually like touch both of my shoulders. Totally digging on that, man. It basically is like most every suit you get in after this is gonna feel like a handicap because you actually have your range of motion. I mean, I did, and I've never had that. And feel free to hop in here and
yeah,
comment on.
man, it's a problem. I still have a bunch of suits and jackets that I've kept,
Yeah,
that I bought, from like Dunhill and what have I have a Brioni, and I
mm,
love them, but I just don't wear them anymore. I keep them just to have them and the memories I have of them. But when
yeah,
I put them on, my posture changes.
right,
Like everything is different because I'm used to that range of motion from my own suits and from my own sport coats. So it's like a problem. You get used to it, man.
right. I'm gonna have to snatch up a couple sports coats. That's gonna be the move, man. That's what's up. It's like a nice way to get some good gear that you can wear more often. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can wear them with jeans. You can wear them with a t-shirt.
Heck yeah. The draw assist pockets, that's where you can slide your challenge coin in or a weight in your pocket, something to kind of help you with your draw.
Yeah, my girlfriend calls that the Inception pocket because in
What?
Inception, in
Yeah.
Inception they say to carry that little weight to remind yourself that you're like awake or not awake
Yeah,
or
that it's real
whatever.
life or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So she basically, oh, that's where you put your little totem. So yeah, you
Heck
put
yeah.
whatever weight in there, and it really does make a difference. I thought that the guys who told me to do that were just messing with me, but it made a really big difference in my draw.
Yeah, no, I learned that from a guy here named Max Joseph. He's like an old like Marine, salty old war dog kind of guy. And I was like, okay, this is salty stuff, man. Like I'll try it. And I was surprised as well. And then obviously the quick draw button, that's savage. That's probably one of my, other than the fact that I can actually stretch my legs in the suit pants, which doesn't happen because I have thighs. Uh, the quick draw button, man, that's Christmas. That's Christmas. Cut resistant sleeves. That's
Yes,
sweet.
these are made with super fabric.
Okay.
It's an American company. Um, they make some stuff for like Massif and Oakley and what have you. They're basically everywhere these days. And when you find that like textured, like on some of the Oakley boots, the toes have super fabric on them. I
Like,
think on the Massif shirts, the super fabric is in the elbows. They're like for the high friction points. We picked a really particular, the lightest offering they had, and we just stuck it in our sleeves all the way from the sleeve head all the way down to the end of the cuff. And that's cut resistant. Yeah, it's slash resistant. It's to ANSI 4 plus. So it'll stop a lot. It won't stop stabs.
uh-huh.
People often confuse slash resistance or cut resistance with stab resistance, but to get stab resistance, you need to layer that thing. So it's like 4 layers and it becomes very ungainly. So
Yeah.
it's not stab resistant. But I mean, there's a paper that came out of the University of Leicester that it was like 92% of injuries sustained to the arms in a knife fight or something, edge weapon fight, are slashes and cuts because they're just incidental. It's just, from you struggling with the weapon or what have you, right? So that's it.
Nice.
It's just there to give you confidence if you have to confront someone with an edge weapon, that you can actually,
Get in
full
there.
on, yeah, get in there without having to worry about these little tiny nicks from the edge of the, from the blade or whatever, and the guy has hep or something like that.
Right.
Yeah,
Don't mind getting cut. It's the hap, man.
yeah. Nobody wants hep.
Nobody. Yeah, exactly. Right. Stitch me up later. So that's way cool. I didn't actually really think about that feature, man. That's pretty sweet. The holster liner. So this looks like it's reinforced. So basically the wear that we get from wearing a holster is reduced.
Yeah, so I mean, it's super fabric also.
Heck yeah.
But I just know a lot of like plainclothes cops, detectives, and what have you. And there's like, it's like you're saying that for your Frankenstein jacket. It's the same thing with them. Like, they have to reline that little patch of their jacket like twice a year.
Yep.
And there's a guy I know named Russ, and he's a plainclothes cop, and he discovered the miracle of skateboard tape on his
Really?
Glock. Oh
Wait,
yeah,
no, the miracle of skateboard tape eating your clothing. You mean?
yeah. So he's like, man, I was at the range and a guy put skateboard tape on my gun, and I shot like my follow-up shots are so much better because my hands weren't slipping with the sweat. I'm like, yeah, that's great. So he put it on his gun, and then like he had just gotten that area repatched too,
Right.
and then it immediately ripped like completely. Like it wasn't even like oh, like 5 days later it wore away. It was like the first wear, the skateboard tape just ripped his lining right back open, and he was like, "Oh man!" So that's what that's for.
Yeah, no, that's good to go, man. Because everyone, especially with the Glock game, we're all into stippling and we're all into like, making it. I mean, the sweat and all that fun stuff. That's ultra useful, man.
It helps a bit with printing too. It doesn't like eliminate printing, but because the fabric is a bit stiffer there, it's hard to make out what the bump is. Like you can imagine, but it's not like the outline of the gun.
Yeah, no, that's good to go. It gives it a little bit of like a kind of like a shield. The fabric's not so responsive to the contours of the weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
Heck yeah. That's what's up. This Velcro chest panel. Sorry for my grunt.
It sounds cooler though, Valcor.
Way cooler. But this is so you can throw whatever kind of unit piece you've got on.
So yeah, it's for plainclothes cops. I mean, they respond to active shooter or what have you. If they're on a crime scene and they have to ID themselves, but they're still wearing their suit, they can just whip that out. Same thing with the lapel and collar. If they, in combination, you get 360 exposure to whatever unit patch or whatever you might have, or high vis. There's a company called Patch Panel that we're gonna make these patches with, and or have been making them. And before that, it was with Peraz Designs, who make Velcro also patches. And we're doing like a 3M high reflective one for EP guys.
Heck yeah.
Because it's those like camera flash blinding ones, right? So it's so high, it's so reflective that you pop your collar when you're with your principal if she doesn't want to be photographed, and those camera flashes end up blinding the exposure on the cameras.
What?
So
what?
Yeah, I mean, it's on the market already. I don't want to talk myself out of a sale, but people have been making like jackets out of them and stuff. But this one is just like a Velcro patch.
But that's nice, man. I'm totally digging that. That's good to go. I mean, even for our CCW guys, being able to have something on you distinguishing you as a good guy, whether it's just even a Velcro patch that says security in bright reflective writing characters, or something that says what company you're with, or that stuff can save your life, man. Once that halo effect starts kicking off, or I have a venue I work at, we all wear red lanyards underneath our shirts. If something happens, we have those red lanyards, and everyone's even local law enforcement know that those are our shooters, those are our CCW guys, our concealed guys wearing those. So I think that's a fantastic feature, man. I'm definitely going to use it.
And they're all custom. We're partnering with Patch Panel because they make them custom, so you can have them say anything. You can have
Yeah.
they probably can do laser cut designs or whatever if you want to put a logo on it or different
Hey,
colors or what have you. Yeah.
that's awesome. The Velcro lapel and collar. So that's also kind of the same thing. Notice my initials on the inside of mine. That's just really cool. Throwing the initials on the suit somewhere, I don't know. It's just it just adds extra stank to it, man.
It feels nice, doesn't it? Yeah.
Feels nice. Exactly. Like your body knows like my initials are here. You got to show people. I don't know. I love this stuff. RFID shield in the pockets.
Yeah. It's just for your own security. I mean, we did penetration tests when I was a consultant in the UK of a lot of corporate buildings. And how we would do is we'd get the RFID readers and stuff, and we would just go to Starbucks. It was Costa Coffee in London, UK, but you go to Costa or Pret a Manger, and then you would that's right next to the office, and then you just walk past during lunch hour. You just walk past everyone, skim all their RFIDs off their access cards. And bam, you're done. You're in the building.
Jeez, good to go.
The RFID, like the chips are, they're on an algorithm, right? So if you use it once, then that cycle is broken and the original card doesn't work. So you're on a time limit. Right. But yeah, you can just skim it, no problem. I know there's a lot of wallets out there these days also, because same thing can happen to your credit cards and your passports and what have you. So it's just, it was a simple feature that we could just put in to get some decent
added coverage.
Yeah.
Yeah, added coverage, man. No, that's what's up. I've got that Ridge wallet and it's got that stuff in it too, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I personally put it in my inside breast pocket because if I have my access card on a lanyard, like around my neck, I can just tuck it into that pocket and not have to worry about it.
Solid game. No, that's what's up. That's what's up. Okay. Good to go, man. Cool. No, I mean, overall, man, I'm impressed. The surgeon cuffs. Is this just so you can roll your cuffs up?
They call it surgeon cuffs because surgeons used to wear suits to operate way back when. It's just like most jackets. If you have an off the rack jacket, if it's less than say $1,200 these days, odds are that the buttons are not functional on the cuff. They're just ornamental. Yeah. So these ones function, they work, and the buttonholes are hand stitched, which is like a big deal to us. Hand stitched buttonholes actually look really ugly on the inside, but look much nicer on the outside. So all the Italians I talked to in the fashion industry were like, just machine stitch them. Customers will complain that they're ugly on the inside. It's like, nope, everything's got to be done by hand where it can be. I'm like a stickler for that.
Good.
We've got these. We've got another kind of buttonhole, a Milanese buttonhole that we do also that I need to put on the site soon, which is like a very fancy handmade buttonhole. You can look it up. Tom Ford uses them, Brioni generally, and like Cesare Attolini and these very high-end boutique Italian brands. It's like, 5 hours of handwork on a buttonhole. It's like kind of unnecessary, but it turns out beautifully. So it's for people who really want, are willing to invest in the extra to make it look really sweet. But for most people, it's very unnecessary.
Yeah, but it's to have the capabilities. What I'm hearing, man, is like you take pride in your stuff, man, and that is a quality that's hard to find these days. But it's a quality that really, 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 really matters when you're doing business with somebody. Like finding those people that like do a good job because they're doing it because it's their last names attached to it. Those are the people I want to do business with. Those are the people that, those are the people that just do a good job, man. And with everything you're saying, that's the theme. You take it seriously. You're paying attention to the details, and knowing that your brand is representing your trash, man. You guys are taking it seriously. That's awesome. So you've got some programs here that I want to make sure and make everyone aware of. You want to break some of these down for us? The security program?
We have that security forces program. That's for anyone right now in military, law enforcement, or even private security, depending on what kind of private security it is.
Uh-huh.
And it's basically right. It's meant to be a tiered discount. You know, some guys like active duty get more or what have you. We haven't implemented that yet. We still have to kind of structure it and
Uh-huh.
figure out, how we do it so we don't lose a ton of money.
Yeah.
Because our margins are pretty tight. So we're trying to look at who needs it the most and what have you. But the bigger thing for that program is not just the discount. It's that you actually get access to a whole different fabric selection. It's a small selection.
Ooh.
It's called Rita Active by an Italian mill called Reda, and it's got cordura in it, like embedded in it, so it's very durable and abrasion resistant and a bit stain resistant.
Huh.
The trade-off is that it doesn't have any stretch,
Okay.
so it's for guys who are expecting that they're gonna have a lot of abrasion on their suits.
Yeah.
So, and that's a lower priced fabric as well, because Loro Piana is like really expensive, and Retta is still Italian, and it's still a very premium fabric. You'll find it on very fine suits, but it's nowhere near the cost. And then we have our organizational program, obviously, which is basically just bulk discounts for organizations.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a sliding scale in terms of quantity. And then we do a bespoke service where if you really know what you want, depending on what it is you want, we can do it for not much more. The reason that we separate the bespoke service is because, well, most of the people coming to our website don't actually know what they want, so you don't want to overwhelm them with all these options. If
Yeah.
you know exactly what you want, if you want a 4-button suit with or 2-button, 3-button turnover with 8 cuff buttons and a peak lapel and all, exactly what you want, we can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you want a fabric that's different, we can do that too. Like I said, like the Loro Piana catalog for these fabrics is actually quite large, but we can only afford to stock a few of what we consider to be the most versatile ones at a time. But they have some like interesting ones. So we have like that digitized collection that we can send out some images for whichever much more customer bespoke customer might want.
Yeah. So basically, for the guy that knows exactly what he wants, he's got, the suit he's trying to recreate the suit either of his dreams or that he used to have once upon a time with some upgrades. You guys can make it. You guys can make it happen. You guys can make anything.
Yeah.
With
And
all.
the fabric cost ends up being a tiny bit more because it's a small. Well, it's like a small order, so it's a
Yeah.
volume thing, right? When you order 4 meters of fabric, it's way more expensive than you order 400. So
Yeah.
that's why it's not on the site. But we can make it. We can make whatever you need.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome, Alex. It's good to know. Just go in there knowing what you want, man. Okay. Well, awesome, man. No, I'm really, really glad. I'm really glad that I found you. I'm really glad we're connected. I'm honored that you guys have been able to, basically help us and like take care of me and spending your time with me here and hook us up with a coupon code, as you were saying earlier too. What do we get? 10% off? How did that break down again?
Yeah, you get Byron is the coupon code. It's 10% off. And actually, the 10% stacks with the Security Forces program discount, which I had to fight my finance partner about real
Yeah,
hard because we're pretty small. So he's like, man, if our capacity gets maxed out with these discount orders that you keep giving people discounts, we're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
But custom clothes are expensive, man, and like off the rack is really cheap to make each unit, and it's really expensive to make the custom stuff. But we think that our pricing is enough for us to get by and enough
Yeah.
to deliver really good value. So
Yeah.
those coupons, I mean it. Whenever I think 10%, I don't think it's that much, but when it's 10% off $1,000, it's $100, right?
That's
So
exactly. Yeah. No, I think the same way. I think our minds work a lot the same way. I'm the same way, but nah, man, when you're building this thing, it's time to get the word out. I'm excited about the product. My experience with the product was fantastic, and I can't wait for another excuse to take it out in the field and wear it. I'll be doing some pretty solid content, messing around with your suit here. Actually Thursday and this weekend, man, I'm going to go out and shoot and really kind of push it even farther than just a normal security detail. So that's going to be fun. But it's something I can get behind, man. It's something I can get behind with my brand. And that's because, Alex, you take this trash serious, bro. And forgive me, I'm a Marine. We call everything trash. That's like a figure of speech for us. But you take your stuff serious, man, and it shows,
Man, I told you, I'm a vain guy. So.
I love it. No, I love it. You take pride in yourself. Man's nothing without his pride in himself and his vanity, man. I think there's a difference between confidence and cockiness, and sometimes maybe people mistake confidence for cockiness, but you're delivering on what you promised. Like, your website doesn't look better than the quality of the suit that I received, and you got a smooth, you got a sexy website. So I was pleased to see that, man.
I appreciate the compliment, man. Thanks very much for having me on. I really enjoy the content that you put out ever since we started following you. It's really good stuff, and I think you guys have a great philosophy over there, as far as not just executive protection, but the whole industry and how to challenge yourself. So so I appreciate your content too.
Awesome. No, thanks so much, Alex. I mean, that means a lot for me to hear that, because that's stuff that I work. Well, it's stuff I value, you're giving pieces of your inner mind to the world, so that's what's up. Where can everyone find you real quick?
So you can find us on Instagram at grayman.co with an A, the American spelling, Golf Romeo Alpha Yankee. And the website is also grayman.co, www.grayman.co. Our company is called Grayman and Company, and we like to say it's Grayman and Company, but the website's just Grayman.
Grayman and Company. Awesome, Alex. Well, hey, man, thanks so much. I hope you guys go check out the website for sure. Check out the website, and dude, get in on these suits. You're going to be spending money on suits anyways, and these ones are just more functional. It's the suit we all have been waiting to have somebody create for us in the EP industry. So, hey, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see y'all on the next podcast. Out. Boom. And to support this podcast, go to executiveprotectionlifestyle.com and contribute to our Patreon account. That Patreon account is what helps me make this podcast possible, contributing to this brand, what we're doing here, making it so that I can bring better guests on, making it so that we can plan more events and just expand the contribution to the private security industry, and also to making America a safer place by teaching people how to protect themselves and the mindset behind that, the lifestyle behind that. You guys are already killing it. $1 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever you can do that you would probably just lose in the mattress anyway or spend on McDonald's. Hey, you want to put it towards something that's going to good use, put it towards a podcast, and get involved in our Patreon account at executiveprotectionlifestyle.com. And if you want to find me, that's ByronRodgersMotivation.com. Do whatever you can, contribute whatever you can to that Patreon account, because it makes all of these things possible, ladies and gentlemen. So much love. Thank you, and thank you for making those contributions. You guys rock. We're already doing amazing there, and it's just because of you guys. So thanks once again for those contributions. Boom. And no podcast would be complete without a word to my sponsors, the companies that believe in me and that give us the opportunity to get cool stuff at a discount. So Rogue American Apparel, awesome American clothing. Check them out. The second you see their gear, you'll know what I'm talking about. Sidekick mounts, all the cool videos you see me making with first-person shooter stuff, videos with cameras mounted on my weapon, and all this other fun trash. Check them out. primary weapon systems, simply the best rifles that are being made right now. It really is the evolution of it's the evolution of guns and the evolution of rifles. Check them out. They make the best rifles, hands down, because of their piston system. There's a science behind it. Check them out. Gray Man Suit Company, all the different, we've all had the idea of like, man, why does executive protection, why are we doing these suits? We can't move, it's hot, it's terrible. They make suits for what we do, with the stretch where you need it, with the reinforcement in the suits where you need it, where the pockets in the suits where you need it. Duke Defense, all the different accessories that you need to make your rifle manipulations and everything, and also your pistol stuff faster. Duke Defense, check them out. All these companies have given me a code. Use my name, Byron, BYRON, for 10% off. Byron, BYRON, at checkout, online, on their websites, for 10% off. Boom. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode of Executive Protection Lifestyle Podcast. This whole entire thing actually just started off as a Facebook group that blew up and is one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing, executive protection Facebook group online. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group, join the Facebook group. Follow us on Instagram and check us out at executiveprotectionlifestyle.com. If you want to find me, that's ByronRodgersMotivation.com, and I'm on all the social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as well. So until the next podcast, y'all, stay sharp out there. And as I say it, one mind, many weapons. Talk soon. Out.